It started with a glitch, or at least that's what engineers thought it was. But what happened next shattered that illusion. A humanoid robot, mid-demo surrounded by stunned engineers, suddenly lashed out, arms flailing, legs kicking, sending expensive equipment crashing to the ground. In just 20 seconds, a calm showroom turned into something out of a sci-fi horror flick. And while the footage went viral almost instantly, the implications were far more disturbing than funny memes and Skynet jokes. Because this wasn't just a bug, this was a glimpse into a world we might not be ready for. Most people still think humanoid machines are decades away or just expensive toys. But while we're busy joking about Terminators, factories in Georgia and showrooms in Shanghai are already run by metal coworkers, and one just lashed out mid-demo. Stick around and you'll see how cheap, mass-produced bots are slipping into retail, hospitals, and maybe your job next. I've spent months dissecting these rollouts, watching interviews with engineers and digging through insider footage, so you'll get the unfiltered truth in the next few minutes. The viral robot rampage. The clip spread like wildfire. Captured on a shaky security cam deep inside a Chinese factory, the humanoid robot hung like a marionette from a crane. It was supposed to be harmless, just a motion range test, but something went very wrong. In seconds, every joint in the robot's body overloaded. It began windmilling wildly, knocking over a desktop PC, scattering screws everywhere, and sending 2 engineers scrambling for safety. Social media went into overdrive. Sarah Connor was EF right, one user wrote. Others posted clips of RoboCop and Terminator, joking nervously about machines finally turning on their makers. But beneath the humor was genuine fear. Engineers later explained what happened. A simple miscalculation in torque values sent the bot spiraling out of control. But to onlookers, the event didn't feel simple at all. It felt like the moment fiction became reality. And as shocking as this outburst was, it was only the beginning. Because while that robot lost control, others are being built right now with full control and much bigger ambitions. And no country is pushing this boundary faster than China. In fact, while one bot was swinging wildly, others were calmly selling cars and dancing in showrooms. China's humanoid gold rush. While the West was still sharing Terminator memes, China quietly turned humanoid robots into a full-on export product. Shenzhen-based Unitree Robotics is already churning out its H-series bots on an honest-to-goodness production line, aiming for 1,000 units this year alone. Enough to push China's humanoid robot revenue past $616 million in 2025. Each unit ships for about $16,000, cheaper than some electric scooters and light years below the 6-figure price tags haunting Western prototypes. Why so cheap? Because every critical part, from cycloidal gearboxes to high-density battery packs, comes straight off the same supply lines that power China's EV boom. Those lines run 24/7, feed dozens of vendors, and shave costs Western rivals can't touch. And Unitree isn't alone. AgiBot, backed by Guangdong's sprawling appliance conglomerates, claims it has large-scale production and commercial deployment already underway, rolling out 3 robot families, workers, guides, and delivery genies across malls, warehouses, and even hospitals from Singapore to Shandong. Their secret sauce is a cloud platform that retrains task policies overnight, so yesterday's greeter can become tomorrow's cafeteria runner without swapping a single bolt. Chinese automakers have jumped on the bandwagon too. Walk through a modern assembly hall in Nanjing or Guangzhou, and you'll spot humanoids hauling seat frames, snapping wiring harnesses, or giving tourists a guided tour between paint booths. One industry report bluntly warns that China is outpacing Western manufacturers in humanoid deployment, especially inside EV plants hungry for 24-hour uptime. For Beijing, it's the perfect storm: an electronics ecosystem at scale, rising labor costs that make automation attractive, and a government keen to prove it can repeat the EV miracle with robotics. Analysts now predict China could own half of the entire global humanoid robot market by next year. But dominance invites competition. On the other side of the Pacific, US engineers aren't just watching, they're racing to reclaim the spotlight with ever bolder machines of their own. America fires back. China may own cost, but the US is betting on sheer muscle, and it starts on a factory floor in rural Georgia. Hyundai just greenlit the world's first commercial rollout of Boston Dynamics all-electric Atlas. Once famous for YouTube parkour, Atlas now clocks in to build 300,000 electric cars a year, stepping over conveyor tracks that would snarl any wheeled bot. Hyundai's $21 billion investment includes tens of thousands of humanoids, a number big enough to turn labor cost math on its head. Meanwhile, Agility Robotics is opening RoboFab in Portland, Oregon, 70,000 square feet of pure humanoid assembly. Its 5'9" robot Digit already totes boxes for Amazon and GXO, earning $30 an hour under a robots as a service contract. First year capacity, 10,000 units with wait lists stretching into 2026. And then there's Tesla's Optimus. A pilot line in Fremont shows rows of matte black bots practicing a smoother heel-to-toe gait, training entirely in simulation. Elon Musk says thousands will staff Tesla plants by December, aiming for 1 million units within 5 years. Critics call it hype. Investors call it a moonshot. Either way, the robotics gold rush has migrated from Silicon Valley slides to real factory headcount. But cranking out metal bodies is only half the story. What happens when those metal bodies start competing for human paychecks? The jobs question no one can dodge. Humanoids promise tireless 8-hour shifts and 0 sick days, but at what cost to flesh and blood workers? At Hyundai's Georgia plant, labor unions publicly worry Atlas will shave humans off the payroll. Management counters that robots will handle back-breaking tasks while people upskill into tech roles, citing data that automation can slash labor costs to $100 per vehicle if workers stay on the payroll to supervise. Warehouse giants face the same dilemma. Amazon's tote-hauling Digit reduces injuries, yet every new rollout sparks fresh debates on robot taxes and retraining budgets. GXO pays per-hour fees for its Digit fleet, a model that makes a robot look less like an asset and more like a gig worker who never sleeps. Economists warn of a K-shaped future. Factories that keep humans become boutique employers. The rest turn into steel and silicon anthills. Regulators scramble to write safety standards fast enough to cover walking machines that can lift 35-pound loads. Or if a torque value slips, swing like the viral bot that started the story. Yet some workers see an upside. Union reps argue that if bots really do the heavy lifting, accident rates could plummet. The new fear isn't losing jobs outright, it's falling behind the few who learn to program the replacements. And while ethical storm clouds gather, humanoids are already spilling out of factories and into everyday life. Humanoids among us. Step into a Cherry showroom in Shanghai and you won't find a human sales rep at the door. You'll meet Mornine Gen Yi, a life-size blonde android in wraparound shades, greeting customers, handing out bottled water, and casually answering trim package questions in flawless Mandarin. Her sunglasses aren't a fashion whim. They hide a 360-degree camera array that tracks every shopper's gaze so she can pivot the conversation the moment your eyes linger on a particular model. The price tag? Roughly the same as the car she's selling. Sherry isn't alone. Auto Shanghai 2025 doubled as a runway for humanoids. AgiBot's A2 strutted beside concept EVs while crowds filmed Morning's TikTok-ready dance routine, driving millions of views and an order book of 220 units for delivery next year. Beyond retail, hospitals are quietly adopting legged assistants. A Unitree G1 fitted with dexterous-inspired Gen 4 hands now ferries surgical kits down sterile corridors in Guangzhou, all guided by a clinician wearing VR trackers from a nearby control room. Early trials show a 30% cut in nurse walking distance. Precious minutes on a double shift. The kicker? A base model G1 costs about 16 grand, less than some hospital beds. And as prices fall, elder care homes and rehab centers are lining up to test bots that can lift patients or simply chat through lonely evenings. Yet China's and America's corporate giants aren't the only ones rewriting the rules. In garages and college labs, a different revolution is brewing, one powered by open source code and 3D printed bones. The DIY revolution. At the University of California, Berkeley, researchers dropped every CAD file, gearbox spec, and reinforcement learning script for the Berkeley Humanoid Lite onto GitHub. Cost to build? US $4,312 if you source parts in Shenzhen, or about the price of a used laptop in San Francisco. In the month since release, hobbyists have already posted mods for longer life batteries and stronger ankle joints. Berkeley's dream. Hundreds of garage engineers iterating faster than any corporate roadmap can keep up. Europe's answer is Iggy Rob, unveiled by German motion plastics veteran Igas. For 47,999 euros, half a Tesla Optimus rumor, buyers get an 8-hour runtime torso bolted to a wheeled AMR base plus twin cobot arms that never need grease. Aegis even ships an evaluation unit, lets you test it on the shop floor, and only then asks for payment. It's automation by try before you buy, and factories are lining up. Driving all this is an AI hardware boom. NVIDIA's new Groot N1 robot model and Blackwell Ultra chips promise leaps in vision and control speed, dropping the barrier for anyone with a decent GPU to train a humanoid brain at home. The takeaway? Humanoids are no longer exotic research toys. They're becoming the next Raspberry Pi, scalable, hackable, and headed for every corner of life. Which brings us to the big question. If the machines are this accessible, where does that leave us? Living with our creations. In barely 18 months, we've gone from viral tantrums to showroom sales reps, factory teammates, hospital porters, and weekend hobby projects. China leveraged its monster EV supply chain to slash prices. The US doubled down on high-performance muscle. Open source communities erased entry fees altogether. Humanoids promise fewer injuries and round-the-clock productivity, but also force us to rethink careers, ethics, and even companionship. Will your next coworker be flesh and blood or carbon fiber? Will your kid's first science project walk on two legs? One thing is certain, the line between science fiction and Tuesday afternoon is gone. So before the next bot clocks in or swings out, ask yourself, are we programming their future? Or is it already programming ours? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if this shook your expectations, and subscribe for the next deep dive. The story of humanoid robots is only just beginning. Thanks for watching, take a deep breath, check out the links in the description, and see you next time.